big breaking news coming in. The central government is deliberating on the 131st constitutional amendment. Discussions are underway to bring the bill in a revised form. A meeting was also held with Union Home Minister Amit Shah along with Kiren Rijiju, Ashwini Vaishnaw, Shivraj Singh Chouhan, Piyush Goyal and Nitin Nabin. This is the big breaking news that we are tracking at the moment. There's a key meeting that has been chaired. The central government is deliberating on the 131st constitutional amendment in this meeting, and discussions are on to bring the bill in a revised form. A meeting was held with Union Home Minister Amit Shah along with Kiren Rijiju, Ashwini Vaishnaw, Shivraj Singh Chouhan, Piyush Goyal and Nitin Nabin. All union ministers were part of the meeting, and in fact the BJP president was also there. We have our input editor Brijesh Pandey joining us live on this broadcast. Brijesh, help us understand what this meeting was really about and also the larger context.
Well, the government is doing a meeting. Government is in fact doing a series of meetings. One of the key important meetings which you're talking about is that there is one faction of within the government which feels that, there could be deliberation about bringing the bill in a revised form. And but there is also simultaneously, several outreaches are being planned and executed right now as we speak inside the Lok Sabha. Kiren Rijiju has met Akhilesh Yadav, Samajwadi Party leader, and he had a 5 to 7 minute chat with Akhilesh Yadav, asking him to vote for this particular bill. And if there's another meeting which is going on right now as we speak, that Priyanka Gandhi and KC Venugopal from the Congress party are meeting Lok Sabha Speaker. But in middle of all this, the series of meetings, the Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi has tweeted, and this tweet clearly points to the direction of which this particular bill is going. And the tweet says that apart from talking about the women reservation bill, apart from talking about how women should have gotten this bill, or this bill should have been implemented long back. Now what the Prime Minister has said is that they are going to go ahead and go for voting on this particular bill. So it is very clear as to, this is in sync with what the Prime Minister said yesterday while speaking in the Lok Sabha, when he said that, that all the women of the country are looking at this discussion, and, anybody who votes against this bill will not be taken kindly. So it is very, very clear that the government has decided to go ahead with the voting. The numbers are not in the favor of the government because you require a two-third majority when it comes to get a constitutional amendment passed in the House. So the government does not have the number. There are 17 odd seats, votes less than the required two-third majority. So it'll be extremely interesting to see, what happens after that, because there's a section which feels that even if the bill gets defeated on the floor of the House, it will give BJP a lot of firepower to approach the elections both in Tamil Nadu and West Bengal, and also by and large to portray opposition parties, starting with Congress party, as anti-women. And this is one of the key strategy of the government of India as far as this particular bill is concerned.
And Brijesh, what does the government mean by, trying to bring the bill in a revised form? What is the revised form? What does it mean?
Well, the government is doing a meeting, and there were talks, there were feelers given in the morning that we could see a change in the way this entire delimitation was done. There could be, there was a possibility of, the women reservation bill being dropped, and the delimitation bill given a push with the current scenario per se. But now what we have been given to understand is that the government is moving ahead. As per the tweet of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the government is going ahead with for the voting as far as a women reservation bill and other two important constitutional amendment is concerned. The government is kind of daring the opposition to vote against it, and the strategy of the Bharatiya Janata Party and the government is that once the bill, if the bill gets defeated in the House, then they will go to people, they will go to people of West Bengal, they will go to Tamil Nadu, and they will say that the Congress party and the other opposition parties are anti-women, and they do not want this particular bill to be passed. But interestingly, Deepak, late last night the government has also notified the 2023 women reservation bill which was passed, and the reason why it was done was because if this bill gets defeated and the earlier bill was not notified, the earlier women reservation bill would have also become infructuous. So this is the reason why the government has done has notified the 2023 women reservation bill. B, now the Prime Minister has made it very clear that they are going ahead as far as voting is concerned. The government's outreach to various opposition parties continue. Kiren Rijiju has met Akhilesh Yadav, trying to impress upon him the importance to vote in favor of this particular bill. Whereas we have also seen, Priyanka Gandhi and KC Venugopal meeting Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla. Deepak?
Well, Brijesh, what are the scenarios that we are possibly staring at as far as the voting is concerned? Because like you said, two-thirds majority is not in sight for the government.
Well, the government doesn't have the required number. If you do a simple arithmetic, the NDA has 292 members. The complete composition of parliament is that the NDA has 292 members and the opposition has 233. Now, if there is a full house as far as the house is concerned, the government requires 360 votes to get the 3 constitutional amendment bill passed. The government doesn't have the number. The government is making an outreach, but if you go by the strategy, it looks like that the government knows that this may not pass, and if it doesn't pass, the government has plan B ready, which is to portray opposition parties as anti-women, and going by the fact that women constitute 50% of the electorate, the government feels, the BJP feels that they will be, irrespective of the fate of the bill, it's going to be an advantageous position for them.
Right, Brijesh, kindly stay on with me. We also have Tushar Gupta, a senior journalist, joining us on the phone line. A very good afternoon to you, Mr. Gupta. Now, the central government is deliberating on the 131st Constitutional Amendment Bill, and they are discussing on ways to bring the bill in a revised form. What do you think about this and your first thoughts, sir?
Well, it's a very interesting landmark we have reached. I don't think the numbers are there with the government, and that is why the Prime Minister's called to all the MPs to think about their mothers, sisters, and daughters when they vote. But look, at the end of the day, what are the regional parties also thinking? Since the first day, I've been asking that after the 2026 census, you will have redistribution or redrawing of the constituencies on the basis of the census after 2026. So are the regional parties now saying that we are okay with population-based redistribution of constituencies, but not 50% increase in the proportionate number of Lok Sabha seats? This is the part I do not understand, because the government was actually being very, very charitable, for the lack of a better word, when they said we are going for a 50% increase. Now, you cannot have it in the bill because that would mean that you are permanently amending Article 81. But at the end of the day, I think the regional parties may have missed a trick here. Better representation, increased representation in the Lok Sabha would have benefited them. But if the government is now planning to bring in a revised version, to answer your question, are they planning to insert that 50% proposition? If they are they going to insert the amendment to Article 81, which would make the increase of 50% seats to the Lok Sabha for each state a permanent feature of the Constitution? That's the question that remains to be asked.
Right, Mr. Tushar Gupta, we also have our input editor, Brijesh Pandey, who would like to take some questions from you on this particular development.
Tushar, hi, Brijesh this side. Right now the Prime Minister's tweet has come out in which the Prime Minister has said that, irrespective of this thing, we are going ahead with the voting. So, when the government knows that it doesn't have the required number, do you think that the government is going for the poll just to portray the opposition leaders and the opposition parties as anti-women, or is there a deeper strategy at play?
No, there will be a strategy at play. Look, the people have seen the opposition. They have seen the remarks of the opposition leaders. I genuinely do not understand why do the opposition not go ahead with this bill. It means increased representation. It's not taking anything away from any of the states. And you would have more women MPs and MLAs across the legislatures. But yes, after this bill, if in case the 131st doesn't pass, it doesn't get the numbers it needs to, you will have a perception where the opposition will come across as anti-women. And the Prime Minister himself yesterday, speaking in the Lok Sabha, said that the political benefit, if 131st doesn't get the numbers, it will be to the Prime Minister, it won't be to the opposition. But if it passes, if it gets the numbers, everyone would benefit out of it. So that is where the political strategy of the opposition, especially the regional parties, baffles me, that why would they be against increased reservation and why would they not want to climb on this bandwagon?
Opposition parties saying that, that the women bill has been passed, and where was the need to, go for this kind of rush through women reservation bill and, link it with delimitation. They are saying that what was the need to do it in the middle of the election? So do you think that the strategy that this may portray opposition as anti-women may not be that may kind of backfire, because the women reservation bill has been passed in 2023 with the entire opposition voting in favor of it? Tushar?
Yeah, but today the same opposition is standing against increased representation. Now, increased representation of Lok Sabha candidates would also amount to increased representation of women candidates. Now, the opposition is standing against again. While they cite their reasons for delimitation, what is their problem against delimitation? The southern states have this argument that we want a proportional increase. We do not want to miss out because we shouldn't be penalized for keeping the birth rates lower. That has been addressed. The southern party said that we do not want to be underrepresented. That has been addressed. So when today the opposition party says that why is there a need to link it with delimitation, one doesn't understand what their reservations are. That is the problem.
Journalist KV Brijesh Pandey this side. I hope you're getting my voice. I will ask you the same question which I asked Tushar. What is the strategy of the government at play here? Because, they don't have the number, and the numbers are not like, they are 10, 15, 20 short. You are almost 70 votes short. So what is the government strategy here? Like, if the bill gets defeated on the floor of the House, then use it to bandy opposition parties as anti-women, or is there a larger thing at play?
Well, as it appears evident, the fact that we have been hearing this since yesterday during the debate, that members from the governing coalition have been maintaining that if you defeat the bill, you will be, the women of India will not forgive you. That's the standard thing. And of course, if you remember what the Prime Minister told the House yesterday, that if we all pass this bill, everybody gets the credit, nobody shares it, everybody has it. If you don't, and then you make some historical references that having those who voted against the bill in the past or did acts which not allowed the bill to pass had suffered politically, well, that could be a statement that can be contested on various issues by political parties. Let's see that aside. I think for the simple calculation, whatever I see as a political observer, I think the Bharatiya Janata Party-led government made this calculation whatever it wants to. But they made one thing very sure, they got the entire India bloc on one side. Unwittingly or wittingly, I have no idea. But the entire stands were united.
I would just like to ask you to wait for a minute, because, Prime Minister has...
Brijesh, I have a question for you. This is a big breaking news, Brijesh, what I want to really know from you is, and Mr. Prasad, you stay with me also. Varghese is also with us. It's a breaking news that is happening. Why has Prime Minister decided to tweet? Is he trying to give a message that, we are not going to bend down, we're going to stay put on this, whether we have the numbers or not, but we want to drive home the message that we are for the women reservation bill and the opposition parties are not doing their job. What is the message? How do you decode that, Brijesh?
Is that, what we've been given to understand is that, earlier, at the early morning, there have been several source-based news which had started emanating that the government is having a rethink on the bill and they may drop the women reservation bill but with go ahead with the delimitation bill. Now, I think what has happened or the reality is dawned on the government that if they are seen in two minds on this particular bill, or if they are seen as differing on this particular bill, the real message will be lost and they will end up becoming a joke as far as getting this special session convened and then backing out of the promised date. And I think, the Prime Minister understood this, and this is the reason why in series of tweets, I think he has just posted his second tweet on this particular issue on social media platform X, and then they are going to go ahead with voting because, what the Prime Minister said yesterday is what this is the real strategy of the BJP, that if you defeat this bill on the floor of the House, the BJP will go hammer and tong against the opposition parties, saying that they are anti-women, they do not want women to succeed, and this is the reason why they're doing it. This is the reason why, these two tweets are making it very, very clear that the Prime Minister is not thinking of going back and having any kind of, side talk as far as this bill is concerned.
Varghese, you tell me one thing. Do you think that the women issue is not resonating in South? Do you think that the delimitation as an issue is more powerful than women's issue in states like Kerala, Tamil Nadu?
It is the delimitation issue that has in fact become the core of concern among all the southern states, because the women issue, they are all in agreement. The parties they say that they are in agreement. But what comes after the women's issue is the delimitation factor. And for that, southern states are worried that the 23% of hold that they have in the current 543 seats would be reduced to around 20%, though they've been talking about formulas like 50%. So the issue is about delimitation in the south than it is about the women-centric reservation, because in the south they do have an in-quota in which political parties themselves try to push in a lot of women candidates. So they do not have an issue of women representation in the south to an extent. But here when it comes to the north, though it is being pushed as that, the delimitation factor is also a concern where, like Shashi Tharoor was saying, it is the Lok Sabha that is going to decide on a lot of things than to the Rajya Sabha, because nobody is talking about increase in Rajya Sabha seats as well. It's only about the Lok Sabha, and therefore the power shift from north and south. So this is being touted as a possible issue. Through it is two different. In fact, geographically, the bills are being viewed in two different aspects, as you rightly pointed out. The women's issue probably in the north and in the eastern regions, while it is mostly about delimitation in the south.
Mr. Prasad, I think it's very rare on part of this government to have two views. What, in your opinion, made them introduce this bill knowing very well that they didn't have numbers in Lok Sabha?
Well, I think two things are clear. One, just want a quick comment on what you said, the Prime Minister's tweet. Do indicate that their government has clearly, they are not throwing in the towel. That's what it indicates. They want to go for the crunch, take the number, and then say what they want to say. That's one. Number two, because it will also pain them that they have not thought through the whole process. And the fact that they combined the bills yesterday on the floor of the House asking for a single, I think that came after the India bloc did say that they are going to vote against the delimitation and vote for the women's reservation. That, I think, made the crunch, and they kind of moved the resolution in the House to wanting under the rule to combine it. So look at a classic case which came out yesterday night. There's an anomaly which some point of time some legal trade will answer. You notify the act much after you move the amendment in the House. I mean, this was a very kind of a different situation. I don't recall. They have not even notified the 2023 Act in the Gazette of India, and you're already got to introduce an amendment in the House. And this is where I feel
KV, it's about the shifting of goalposts, and I'm opening this, this tangent to all my colleagues, Varghese, Brijesh and you. Brijesh, is it because of the fact that they think that they have, run out of Mandal 2.0 politics, which they excelled in 2017 UP Lok Sabha elections, where they got all the smaller OBC groups and made them vote like non-Yadav versus Yadav, similarly in many other states. And now they feel that, they need some sort of a different politics. 370 is done, Ram Temple is done, UCC is done, the Pakistan position that they have taken is done. Those Galwan operations, successful, operations against Chinese are done. What next? No agenda. And this has been an agenda government.
Well, I think, 6 days are slightly too less to drive home the point. If this was done, say, a month back, I would have understood that, a month is a good enough time for you to, drive home the point that, this government is for the women, by the women, as BJP are saying. And they would want to appeal to the better conscience of the 50% of your entire electorate. I think, but 6 days is too less a time. And, the opposition indeed has a point. Yesterday when the Prime Minister and, Amit Shah laid a lot of emphasis on how the government is committed and will make sure that there is no, injustice meted out to southern states, as it was one of the paramount fear of the southern states. The fact of the matter is that the opposition also had a very valid card, a counter, by saying that in 2023 we agreed, everyone agreed, and we voted for it. So, what is the hurry? And that is one point which the government has not been able to answer satisfactorily. The fact is, but what KV was saying is something, the fact that, the 2023 women reservation bill was notified last evening. Late last evening, and then the reason is that if this particular bill falls on the floor of the House, then that gets infructuous. So, there are various issues there, and I think, the real agenda would be that if the BJP is able to push through this particular bill, then everything goes for the Bharatiya Janata Party-led NDA government. But even if they fail, the counter strategy would be, to the best of my understanding of the situation, would be to portray or paint, the opposition as anti-women.
But how,
Your perspective. Why Tamil Nadu? Why not Kerala? On the delimitation, why Stalin has the lead?
Because Stalin historically has been fighting against delimitation, and Kerala has just come out of the an election process, so probably it is still in a political kind of a situation where, but the CPM had, when Pinarayi had in fact held meetings with other chief ministers and had raised about issues regarding delimitation. Revanth Reddy has in fact brought in the Telangana aspect of it, and in Karnataka, Siddaramaiah also has in fact brought in this aspect key with regard to it. So it's not that none of them have not taken the lead, but DMK has historically been speaking about delimitation even much before 2 to 3 years before the issue as we see it has come to light. Now, there are several factors to it, and as being said, if the opposition, can it be completely painted as whether they are against women is a question mark, because
Prime Minister has come.
Prime Minister
has walked inside Lok Sabha. Smita Mishra is also online, senior journalist. Smita, tell me what's happening. I mean to say, this, the whole midnight thing took place. Your assessment,
Yeah, so I think it's quite clear what is happening. Going by what almost all the opposition parties have spoken on the floor, it appears that they are not inclined to support the bill in this form. And as everybody knows, they are raising the issue of the delimitation. They are demanding that it should be passed. Women reservation should be implemented, but based on the current status of the Lok Sabha and assemblies, for which the government has given a very clear rationale that because people have been complaining that this will take away their share, so we have increased the seats by 50% so that nobody is deprived of their share, but women also get their fair share. Now, coming to the numbers game, Kartikeya, I think considering the stance taken by almost all the opposition parties on the floor, it appears that there could be a shortfall of a good number of seats. The current arithmetic says the shortfall could be somewhere between 66 and 67 seats, so which is not a small number. So even if some people abstain or one or two small groups do turn in favor, it could be challenging. Under the circumstances, I think the government has the option to send it to a committee, but that will defeat the entire purpose of bringing this legislation, because if women's quota has to be implemented in 2029 Lok Sabha, we must set the process on very quickly. So it defeats the purpose by sending it to another committee where it can go on, getting prolonged. The other option is that the government will let it fall. In that sense, it will be a sad situation, because this should have been done. This was a historic moment to get it done. But the government will have the political argument to go to the people's court and say that, look, we made the sincerest efforts not only to pass women's bill, but also to make it quicker. So instead of the next census, it would be implemented in the coming Lok Sabha 2029. So these are the two possibilities I see, Kartikeya. As you know, the old 2023 bill that had already been passed and was gazetted has been re-gazetted late last evening. So one constitutional situation that the government has found an alternative is that now that bill at least will not fall. In the sense, if today's 131 amendment
is not confident of getting this bill through today, it means that the government is not confident.
I think the government is just keeping all its options open so that in any case, women's quota can be implemented if the parties do not come round in this for this 131.
Okay, Mr. Prasad, what's your assessment? So either way, are we going to see women quota reservation if this does not happen? The previous one gets implemented. Are we talking about that? Is that the possibility?
As I said, there is a legal involved. The Act of 2022 is brought to the amendment. So if the amendment is defeated, we believe that...
I think there's a bit of a problem in your audio line. KV will try to fix that. Brijesh, your assessment?
Please repeat the question.
Brijesh, are we looking at a possibility where this bill falls and the government, goes back to the drawing table? Or do you think that if this bill falls, the government will implement the previous bill?
Well, I think, if this bill falls, then the government, the reason why the previous bill was notified, and it was surprising that it took them 3 years to notify, is I think then if this bill falls, then they will go back to the previous bill. That is the consideration which I think stands right now. Because if there is if the government is planning to go back to the drawing board as far as this particular bill is concerned, at least no info about that particular aspect is available with us right now.
Okay, Smita, can that bill be implemented without delimitation, the previous one?
No, that bill had it, that bill had the clause within the bill that it would come after the next census and the following delimitation, which means the census that has just now got off, the census that has just started. So it will mean a delimitation going by the format of the form in which the bill was passed in 2023. So yes, it will be like a step back because it will not be possible to implement it right away. Whereas if the
Basically,
131...
Smita, you are basically saying that for women reservation bill to happen, there has to be a census and there has to be a delimitation.
If the 2023 bill has to be implemented, but if the 131 amendment, which is on the floor now, if that is amended, it would be done in 2029. That is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so basically the real issue is if the amendments fall through, the previous bill remains alive, but then the government will have to. Okay, let's cut across to Parliament. These are the visuals that are coming from the Parliament. Leader of Opposition Rahul Gandhi has come. I think he's expected to speak soon. Brijesh, so the voting goes ahead?
Well, absolutely. I think voting goes ahead, and the BJP has understood that, though the numbers are not in favor, I think they are more dependent now on the political messaging of this defeat on the floor of the House, and that is the big strategy as far as the government is concerned. Yes, as Smita was saying, that if the 2023 bill is to be implemented, you have to wait for the census to take place.
Yes.
And only after that delimitation can be done, and post that the women reservation bill will be applicable if today the government is not able to get the
I need to stop you for a minute. Hema Malini is speaking in Lok Sabha.
वाले उन पीढ़ियों की बेटियों की हिम्मत विश्वास दिलाना है कि वो भी निर्णय और भागीदार बन सकती है, अपने सपनों को साकार कर सकती है। ये आज का ये जो बिल जो है, ये केवल एक कानून ही नहीं बल्कि नए युग का एक स्वागत कर रहे हैं, सम्मान, समानता और एम्पावरमेंट के युग का। मैं आज इस सदन में गर्व के साथ कह सकती हूं कि 2014 में हमारे प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी जब प्रधानमंत्री बने, महिला सम्मान और सशक्तिकरण सरकार की नीतियों का प्रमुख हिस्सा रहा है। सरकार ने केवल महिलाओं के लिए कई योजनाएं, कानून बनाए हैं जिनका उद्देश्य सुरक्षा, शिक्षा, आर्थिक स्वतंत्रता और सामाजिक सम्मान बढ़ाना है। बेटी बचाओ, बेटी पढ़ाओ, उज्ज्वला योजना, मातृवंदना योजना, स्वच्छ भारत मिशन, मिशन शक्ति, जन धन योजना, मुद्रा योजना, प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना, सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप, लखपति दीदी योजना, नमो ड्रोन दीदी योजना, नारी वंदन अभिनंदन, इन सभी प्रमुख उदाहरण थे। मैं कह सकती हूँ कि सरकार ने इस उद्देश्य के साथ उन्होंने किया कि योजनाएं लाना और कानून बनाना ही नहीं बल्कि उसके साकार भी किया है, और परिवर्तन आज भी हम हर क्षेत्र में देख सकते हैं। आज महिलाएं हर क्षेत्र में अग्रणी हैं, चाहे शिक्षा का क्षेत्र हो, खेल का क्षेत्र हो, विज्ञान का क्षेत्र हो, सैन्य क्षेत्र का हो, उद्योग का हो, राजनीति हो, हमारी महिलाएं हर क्षेत्र में ऊंचाई को छू रही हैं। आज पृथ्वी से लेकर अंतरिक्ष तक कोई भी ऐसा स्थान नहीं है जहां महिलाएं नहीं पहुंची हैं। आज की महिलाएं हर जगह सफलता के झंडा गाड़ रही हैं। आज की महिला रॉकेट चला रही हैं, फाइटर प्लेन चला रही हैं, मेट्रो चला रही हैं, तो वही राष्ट्रपति द्रौपदी मुर्मू जी और हमारे वित्त मंत्री निर्मला सीतारमण जी अपने नेतृत्व से देश को नई दिशा दे रही हैं। ये सब संभव हुआ है भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार की सोच से, नरेंद्र मोदी जी के संकल्प से और हमारी महिलाओं के साहस और सामर्थ्य से। मैं एक कलाकार हूं, मुझे बहुत ही गर्व है कि मैं सांसद होने के साथ साथ एक अभिनेत्री भी हूं और कला जगत से भी मैं उसका रिप्रेजेंटेट करती हूं। मैं बहुत संघर्ष और मेहनत के साथ काम करके मैंने मेरी अपनी पहचान बनाई हूं, जिसके कारण आज मुझे इस सांसद में खड़े होकर आप सबके सामने बोलने का अवसर भी मिल रहा है। मुझे एक जमाना था जब फिल्म बनाने शुरू किया था, उन दिनों में लड़कियां फिल्मों में नहीं आ रही थी, तो पुरुष ही लड़कियों का भेष पहनकर वो एक्टिंग करते थे लड़कियों का। वो जमाना गया जब से हमारी मीना कुमारी, मधुबाला, नरगिस जैसे बहुत ही सुंदर नारियां फिल्म जगत में आने लगी, तो ये उन बाकी सभी महिलाओं को प्रोत्साहित किया, तभी बहुत सारे लोग फिल्मों में ज्वाइन किया। ऐसे ही संगीत जगत में भी हमारे देश का जो गौरव है, लता मंगेशकर जी और आशा भोंसले जी जैसे महान कलाकार बहुत ही संघर्ष करके बचपन से वो ऐसे एक स्थान को हासिल किया है, आज पूरा देश उनको नमन करता है। और उन्होंने भी बहुत संघर्ष किया, जिसकी वजह से संगीत जगत में भी आप देख सकते हैं बहुत सारी लड़कियां फिल्मों में गाना गा रही हैं। आज मैं बहुत हाल ही में आशा जी का निधन हुआ है, तो मैं उनको विनम्र श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करना चाहती हूँ, आशा भोंसले जी का। कुछ दशक पहले मैं भी जब फिल्मों में आई थी, तो मुझे भी एक फिल्म, मेरी पहली फिल्म थी सपनों का सौदागर, उसमें भी मैंने एक बंजारन का रोल किया था। वो भी आत्मनिर्भर, सेल्फ रिलायंट, सेल्फ इंडिपेंडेंट रोल किया था फर्स्ट फिल्म में। उसके बाद सीता और गीता, आप मालूम है गीता का रोल कैसा था, और ऑफ कोर्स बसंती का रोल शोले में, तो टांगे चलाकर वो अपना जीवन यापन करने लगी। ऐसे आत्मनिर्भर वाली कैरेक्टर्स बहुत किया मैंने, जिसकी वजह से हमारे ग्रामीण महिलाओं को भी बहुत ही प्रोत्साहित मिला, वो लोग भी बहुत आगे बढ़ने लगी। इसके अलावा मैंने पुलिस इंस्पेक्टर का भी रोल किया, उससे भी बहुत इफेक्ट हुआ है। और इसके अलावा मैं एक और चीज कहना चाहूँगी, हमारे क्लासिकल डांस इंस्टीट्यूट में बहुत बड़ा नाम है रुक्मिणी अरुंडेल का नाम, जिन्होंने चेन्नई में बहुत बड़ा एक कला क्षेत्र उन्होंने स्थापित किया। एक ज़माना था जहाँ पे मंदिरों में डांस किया करते थे सिर्फ देवदासी लोग, बाकी बड़े घर की लड़कियाँ डांस नहीं सीखते थे, उसे अच्छा नहीं माना जाता था। तो लेकिन रुक्मिणी अरुंडेल जी ने इतना प्रोत्साहित किया और आगे बढ़कर बहुत सारे लड़कियों को उन्होंने प्रोत्साहित करके स्टेज पर भी वो लोग आज भरतनाट्यम करते हैं। और एक रुक्मिणी देवी अरुंडेल ने प्रेरणा लेकर महिलाएं नृत्य के क्षेत्र में आगे आई। आज शास्त्रीय नृत्य कला को, डिवाइन आर्ट और नृत्यांगना को सम्मान की दृष्टि से समाज में देखा जाता है। माननीय अध्यक्ष, 73rd कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट और 74th कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट द्वारा महिलाओं के लिए कम से कम 33% आरक्षण अनिवार्य किया गया है। बाद में कई राज्यों ने इसे बढ़ाकर 50% कर दिया है। पहले स्थानीय शासन में महिलाओं की उपस्थिति बहुत कम थी, अब वो सरपंच, पार्षद और मेयर के रूप में सक्रिय हैं और बहुत बढ़िया काम कर रही हैं हर क्षेत्र में। इससे जल, शिक्षा, स्वास्थ्य, स्वच्छता जैसे मुद्दों को प्राथमिकता मिली जो सीधे आम जीवन से जुड़े हैं। 50% महिला आरक्षण ने स्थानीय शासन को अधिक समावेशी, संवेदनशील और प्रभावशाली बनाया है। ये केवल महिलाओं के लिए अवसर नहीं, बल्कि पूरे समाज के लोकतांत्रिक विकास की दिशा में एक क्रांतिकारी कदम रहा है। लेकिन संसद और विधानसभा में अभी भी महिलाओं का प्रतिनिधित्व बहुत कम है। संसद में 15% और विधानसभा में 10% से भी कम है।
मैडम, काइंडली कंक्लूड मैडम।
कभी कभी ये पूरा करने के लिए नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में सरकार ने 2023 में नारी शक्ति वंदन अधिनियम लाया, और अब वो संविधान संशोधन लाया गया है ताकि संसद विधानसभाओं में महिलाओं को 33% आरक्षण दिया जा सके। इसको लोकसभा की सीट भी बढ़ाई जा सकती है। इसमें सभी जाति, सभी धर्म और सभी क्षेत्र की महिलाओं को अवसर दिया जाएगा, कोई भेदभाव नहीं है। ये बात मैं विपक्ष को जो मांग रहे हैं उनके लिए मैं कह रही हूँ। ये नरेंद्र मोदी जी नरेंद्र मोदी जी ही ये संभव कर सकते हैं। उन्होंने अपने संकल्प से ये संभव किया है। मैं उन्हें बार बार नमन करती हूँ।
प्लीज कंक्लूड मैडम।
मैं आज इस सदन में उन अनगिनत महिलाओं की ओर से कहना चाहती हूँ जिन्होंने कभी सांसद देखा भी नहीं है, लेकिन अपने घर और समाज के लिए हर दिन संघर्ष किया। जिनकी आवाज कभी इस सदन तक नहीं पहुंच पाई, ये बिल उनके लिए है, उनकी आशाओं के लिए है, उनके अधिकारों के लिए है।
माननीय श्री
ये बिल बेटी के लिए है, अपने गांव से निकलकर देश की सेवा करना चाहती हैं जो। ये विधेयक उस मां के लिए है जो अपने बच्चों के बेहतर भविष्य का सपना देख रही है। ये बिल जो है उस हर महिला के लिए है जो अपनी पहचान सम्मान के लिए लड़ रही हैं। लेकिन मैं ये भी कहना चाहूंगी कि महिला सशक्तिकरण केवल कानून बनाने से नहीं होगा। हमें समाज की सोच बदलनी होगी। हमें बेटियों को बराबर अवसर देना होगा। हमें परिवार और समाज में सम्मान देना होगा।
मैम, आई कॉल द नेक्स्ट स्पीकर, काइंडली कंक्लूड मैम।
हर क्षेत्र में महिलाओं की भागीदारी बढ़े, महिलाएं आगे बढ़े, आत्मनिर्भर बने, यही
मैडम काइंडली कंक्लूड मैडम
है। और मैं
प्लीज कंक्लूड मैडम, प्लीज कंक्लूड।
अंत में मैं आपके माध्यम से सदन के सभी साथियों से अनुरोध करती हूँ कि हम सभी दलगत राजनीति से ऊपर उठकर इस बिल का समर्थन करें।